Welcome to Raw Talks, Howard and Mary.
Thank you. Shifting the profits from one jurisdiction to the next one from a related company that really pays little or no tax.
Howie, are these illegal or unethical practices?
By and large, they're not illegal, and unethical is something I think is largely in the eye of the beholder. I don't think I actually don't think it's very helpful to try and paint all of these practices as illegal or unethical. It's a complex mix of issues. I think what we are beginning to understand is, specifically to the mining sector, and what this program is trying to do, the BEPS and mining program, is identify how those issues are manifested specifically in the mining sector, how companies use the international tax system in order to shift profits, but also some of the responsibilities directly of governments, especially in the area of base erosion through the use of tax incentives and other instruments like that, which can actually reduce the collectible revenues over significant periods of time.
Now, well, the numbers that I can confidently talk about are the numbers that are in the high-level panel report that was produced by President Mbeki on behalf of the African Union. And at that time, the report came out in 2014, and the report quoted 50 billion US dollars lost in illicit financial flows every year. And my point there now is, it is very unfortunate that the debate is now about whether the numbers are accurate or whether the semantics around whether tax evasion is legal or not legal. At the end of the day, if there are flows out of developing countries, if money that is supposed to be for development is being lost, it's still, to me, wrong. And so I think that is the debate that's going on, and people should be stopping the illicit financial flows instead of really wasting so much time in semantics and figures.
What we don't really know for sure are the numbers specifically in relation to mining. And when we divide, again, the semantics Mary was talking about between evasion and avoidance, illicit financial flows in terms of money laundering, which is part of what the Mbeki report captures. But when we look at strictly at the BEPS issues in mining, there's no real way to quantify it effectively. Because the tax earnings and the revenue earnings are being hidden through complex financial arrangements. So the approach we take is that if there's $1 billion being lost, especially for developing countries, that's 1 billion too many.
Is this more common practice in developing countries, or are the consequences graver in developing countries?
I think it's both, because if you look at, say, the resource-rich countries, and if you look at, say, the mineral sector, which is really what we've been discussing over the last so many days, you find that because of the nature of the industry, it's really run mostly by multinationals. And it's multinationals that can afford to do that. So you find that most of these countries are actually dependent on revenue from these minerals and and if they're not getting that revenue, then it means it really retards development. And when you talk about minerals, if you don't tax them, they cannot be renewed. So you've lost the tax forever.
And what can you do about it?
I think for the developing countries, what the African Tax Administration Forum does, and we with our partners, the OECD, is to try and help countries to develop laws that they can never be watertight, because these multinationals have the capacity and have all the best brains to look at the loopholes. So to try and get laws, to try and get treaties that will put them at an advantage.
And we want to make sure that paying the appropriate taxes, the proper level of taxes, is really understood as the first item of corporate social responsibility agenda. And so we're working to put in place the tools that assist governments and industry. And I think it's important to note we're working closely with industry on this as well. And I think there's a growing understanding on the part of industry that it needs to be addressed. Of course, there's always going to be some outliers, but we see a lot of engagement from industry in a constructive way, in a positive way. And I think the agenda has a real opportunity to move forward now.
Well, actually, I'm very excited about the current debate, because I see that more and more recently, there's the issue of companies wanting to know what they can do, trying to understand the issues. I think the way countries can help, and rather companies can help, is really to continue this engagement. I'll give you an example. One of the things that investors complain about with tax administrations is the fact that when audits happen, and he will know, audits take forever. So you have auditors on your premises because people do not simply understand what's going on. And so they're trying to learn as they go along. But this kind of discussion, this kind of involvement helps people to understand the value chain, helps people to understand the business. And so they're able, if the tax administrators, they're able to come in, have a good discussion, assess the revenue, and then move out and let you continue with the business. So I think, secondly, if you are a company that has corporate social responsibility and wants to really make a difference, then I think it's also an opportunity to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing for the economy. Yes, we're making our profits, but at the end of the day, we're also contributing to the greater good. So that is the kind of arrangement I'd like to see. But most importantly, I'd like transparency. I'd like proper exchange of information where they provide the right information about beneficial ownership, so that then the tax administrations and everybody in the chain is able to determine what to tax and what not to tax.
Good luck to both of you. Thank you for joining Raw Talks.
Thank you.
Thank you.